All right, what is up, everyone? Welcome to the Of Like Minds video podcast. Here I have a super special guest today, one of my best friends from middle school, Jesus Antonio Jimenez, a citizen of Earth. My guy, thank you for coming on to the show today.
Yeah, man, it's nice to be on this, dude.
Appreciate your time, man. Well, Jesus, I think just kind of first starting, you and I have always connected, and you are an artist as well. And you are huge in film, and you are big in film, and you love film. And so just first talking about how you got into film.
Yeah, no. Well, big part of film and why I love it is just one of my earliest memories that I have. Uh, I remember walking into a theater when I was a kid and just smelling popcorn, and that I can always go back to that happy place, and it was just always it was always a good vibe when you go to a movie theater, like when you told your friends like Saturday night 7:30 movie theater. It's always just movies, and it was just always something that we always consumed and enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And back to the early childhood memory, though, I only saw one movie with my father in the movie theater in my whole life. It was Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone. Yeah, in 2001, bro. That was the only movie I ever seen with my dad, and it was just me and him. And
Mm-hmm.
he hated going to the movies, but he loved movies. But
Mm,
he was just he was just like, why am I gonna pay you know what I mean, all these premiums? Because he was just old school, and he was just like,
yeah,
he just saved every penny, you know what I mean? And
yeah.
that was a very big luxury to him, which he took, to take me to the movie theater was like, that was going to Paris or going to New York, that was to his eyes, because he was just a humble dude, you know what I mean? And Harry Potter, the Sorcerer's Stone, bro, 2001. That's it, man. I want to say that one, and I want to say walking into Titanic, 1997. That was the smell of popcorn. That was
Wow.
that memory.
It's
Oh yeah, I
going.
remember. I remember everything, bro. But yeah, that's what made me love it, bro. And it was just ingrained in me, and my family always connected through film. My friends always connected through film. Like when you were in middle school, high school, like, oh, hey, you check out this movie, or like, hey, what you
Mm-hmm.
watch this weekend, or hey, you seen this one? It's a good one. And then you just talk. Everyone just always, people don't really know, but it's so passive to people. But everyone's always dissecting film, dissecting a show. Just think about all the shows and series that everyone talks about on the past, on the go. Hey, you watched You on Netflix? Oh yeah, it was a great one.
Yeah.
You seen, you know what I mean? All the
Yeah.
new shows that you can keep up. It's relevant, and it's the American art form. It's the only art that's actually American, and I think
Mm-hmm.
that's relevant too, because America doesn't really. We have a lot of heritage and stuff like that, but to say that we created an art form is a bold thing to state.
It's
And
huge.
America is made in America, bro. Filmmaking, Los Angeles, Hollywood. We're the ones that made it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And just to be in that world and be relevant in that, and just to be born here, and have the privilege of being in California and living here and just being in the United States,
Yeah.
even though it's crazy, you know what I mean, right now. But I think it's all part of a healing process, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's all for a greater good. And I think we're all going to emerge stronger and better than ever. And I think that's just going to go from there. But that's all tied to relevant to film. Just going back to your first point. That's why film. That's
Mm-hmm.
why, bro. You know what I mean? It has the power to heal. It can bring us together as a nation. A film can change perspectives on a mass level, bro.
Yeah.
It's art, bro. You're looking into a black box, bro. And in that black box, I'm the creator. That's why I love film, because I'm the creator in that black box, and you see my perspective, and you see what I want you to see, and you see it how I want you to see it, because I directed
Absolutely.
it that way. You know
Mm.
what I mean? And that's what's so powerful about film. That's why I love movies, man. They're
Yeah.
just, they're great. That's it.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
you talking about the power of that filmmaking and movies have healing people. Not only that, but film ultimately led to you getting a full ride and going to college and just
Absolutely.
talking about that experience.
Yeah. No. So I went to San Diego State. Go Aztecs. Uh, the reason why I ended up going to San Diego State was because of the high school that I went to, which was
Mm-hmm.
SCPA, which was our mutual high school,
Uh-huh.
San Diego School of Creative and Performing Arts, which
Yep.
was a school that nurtured the arts over academics. And people can say what they want to say, like, oh no, we did math and English too, but no one cared at SCPA about that. There was people that cared about it, you know what I mean? But they made it, but they still had some artistical talent or something extraordinary about themselves that made them extraordinary in that, in their own way. And that nurturing and that environment just let me believe as a kid that I can do anything. I saw my peers getting into Juilliard, going to NYU, that was just the circle I was in.
You were in K-Arts, right? You were in K-Arts.
I was in K-Arts, which was the school broadcasting. It was the television class. And I was just like, well, man, everyone, where would I go? Where do I go? Where do I fit in all this? And I just fit in K-Arts. And I love the production side. I love the film. I love the black box aspect. And I ended up thinking, well, Hollywood, Los Angeles is obviously the next chapter for me. And I knew I wanted to go, but I didn't really know what I was getting myself into. So I knew I wanted to prepare in San Diego, which was why I was like, I want to go to school in San Diego. I don't want to go too far and go into too deep. That was just me being conservative at the time, because I was just being realistic with what what I could do and what my family could do. And just, it was just, I was the first to go to college. I'm the first one trying to attempt this move, which helped me get a Pell Grant with the state of California. And that's how I ended up getting a full ride, because I was the first in my family of immigrants to go to college. And they ended up giving me a lot of money, man. Like, I ended up getting every semester, the state would help me with $2,000, which is why I'm like blessed, bro.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not everybody. And I was just like, I was just a good kid though. That's another thing. I was never like distracted. I was just always focused on what I was focused on. And I just really wanted it. And I worked for it and I looked for it. They didn't just fall in my lap. Like, it wasn't just like, oh, I got an email one day, hey, you know what I mean? Subscribe if you're the first generation to go to college. It wasn't like that. Like, I had to go dig for that, and I had to work for that, to find the knowledge and the wisdom and the information and put it all together, make the move, go to the office, sign the paper. What do I got to talk to? Who do I go with? Yeah. That's how I got that Pell Grant. I made it happen. And, but like I said, I got blessed with it in the end. And I got every semester, I think they gave me $2,000 to just go to school, just to show up. I ended up, most people pay to go to college and they go into student loan debt and they go to everything. For me, it was the opposite experience. I actually left school positively netting a bunch of cash. Like, I was just like, at the end of it, and I was just like, there was a moment where I felt bad because I was like, whoa. And then I said, no. This is the fruits of my labor. Education did this. Education brought this money into my life. And I thought I need to use this money to propel myself to the next level. And I took all that money and I made my films with it. And that's pretty much what you saw with Pigs, and you saw with Among Thieves, and you saw with all those films. That's pretty much all that funding was for all that state. Thanks, California.
Well, talking a little bit about those films, I know the San Diego State film program, you spoke very highly of it. And just talking a little bit about the films you produced and even some of the awards that you had won, and just if you can shed light a little bit about those films.
Oh, yeah. No, San Diego State was a great place for that nurtured my filmmaking, because it was a small community. In Hollywood, when you go to Los Angeles, you find out it's a very small circle. Same thing when you were in a circle in college or university setting. It's the same in the city aspect. This is on a bigger scale, but it's how you present yourself. It's who you know. It's the connection you can make. It's knowing that this person knows that person, so I need to meet this person. It's just knowing how to network. And I learned that at San Diego State. And I think that was very important that I learned that before I moved to Los Angeles, because I would have been kind of more lost in that city, because that city is fast. And if you don't know where you're going, don't add to the traffic, bro. You just get out. Everyone's here doing something. We're all making moves, and just don't be in that city if you don't have an agenda already. And I learned that at San Diego State. That was one of the biggest things. And learning how to network, learning how to do all the things you don't think about when you're making a film. because making a film is a community, bro. Like, you have your AD, you have your first director, your first assistant director, second assistant director, you have your camera guy, you have your gaffers, your lighting, your grip, everything. Everybody has a job, and everyone reports to someone. Everyone at the end of the day reports to the director in the chair, in the big chair, next to the camera. You know what I mean? Everyone reports to him, and that's me. And I need to have an answer for everything, And that was nurtured and taught at San Diego State. I learned how to work and operate in that, how to move in that. And I was able and given the freedom to pitch my films. My films weren't just made. I had to actually pitch them to a group, a community of students, of filmmaking students. I had to say, this is my film. This is what I want to do. This is my budget, what it might cost me. This is the bad things that can happen. This is the good things that can come from it. This is the message I want to get across. I had to sell it. And it's all sales at the end of the day. Don't get it twisted. Everything in life is a sale, bro. Tying in with what I'm doing now and investing and bartending and filmmaking, you're selling something. You're selling a product. This podcast, I'm selling it. I'm selling you to your audience. I'm selling myself to your audience right now.
Yeah.
Everything is sales, bro. No, yeah. But I learned that, you know what I mean? And that's just, I wouldn't have learned that if I had just moved to LA. You know what I mean? I would have just been some kid out of high school in a big city. But learning that and taking that time to just go to educate myself at San Diego State and being blessed to make all this money from the state, it was just, I knew I made the right choice, because at the end of the day, I was paid, I got my films made, and I moved to Los Angeles with a network and a full connections. You know what I mean? And I knew who to talk to, where to go to when I got there. And it was just a lot different of what my experience might have been if I had done otherwise.
Absolutely. Film, in terms of just going back to the films that you made, maybe the one that got the most recognition, and then kind of contrasting that with the one that you had the most gratification creating.
Okay. So the one that got most recognition was Pigs, which was that one stirred a lot of pots, man.
What was that one about? Well, shed a little bit of light on that.
It was just part of my upbringing. I just never trusted police. I know there's good cops out there, and I know I'm saying something that's totally don't talk about that. But hey, I'm Mexican American. You didn't live my experience. I didn't live your experience. You didn't walk in my shoes. I'm not saying what you lived didn't happen, but what I experienced, and I know how I saw police through my eyes, and I never really trusted them, but I still depend on them, and I still want them around. It's not like I want them not to go away, but I always had kind of a skewed perspective, if you want to call it that. And I wanted to get a message across that, hey, not all cops are good cops. And that was kind of the message that I wanted to get across. They're to protect and serve, but that could be potentially abused, right? In 2016, that's when or 2014, when I had that idea. I was like, hey, who protects us from them though? That was kind of what I was thinking. Why do they have so much agency in our life? Why is it that they can just come into your house? Or,
who
all
polices the police?
The police
who polices the police? Yeah. Who polices
exactly.
them?
I was like, but who polices them exactly? So I made Pigs, right? And no one thought I could make it happen, because they were like, how are you gonna get the police to back you? And I was like, I don't need the police, man. I got the free market. I can rent a cop car. I was like, I don't need no police cruiser. I don't need to kiss no one's ass. Bro, this is Hollywood. Aren't you all Hollywood people? I put everybody on a whole nother thinking level, because everyone was making, in that day, was making college-y, fratty films. You know what I mean? Just college thinking, small thinking films. And not to bash on anybody's films at the time, but there was a lot of that. You know what I mean? And it's okay though, because we were all learning and we were all in a safe environment. But I, being just Mamba mentality, you know what I mean? Shout out Kobe, you know what I mean? I wanted to be the best. And I wanted to be, no, we need to take this to the next level. We need to execute at Hollywood level, because this is what we're going into. This is the world that we're going into. And I preached it and I sold it that way. And I got a lot of backing from students that were like, yes, we need more of this. We need a film that can actually invoke an emotion and piss people off and make people think some type of way, some different type of way. And I'm like, this is what film's about. And I got really excited. So that was a whole lot, like, that was my whole press kit, and that's how I sold it. Got a lot of attention. It went to Cannes in France. It won the National Student Film Award. Yeah, for at San Diego State. It won Best Student Film at San Diego State. It was cool though, man. It was like a really good learning experience. And from that one, I got a lot of hype and I made a lot of money off that one, actually. Because I ended up making Among Thieves after that one. And that one was a $10,000 budget opposed to a $2,000 budget. And it was great because I ended up growing my next production twice, almost what is that? 4 times the size, or 2 times or 3 times. I tripled the production cost essentially for my next film because of the success of Pigs. That one was a hard film. Among Thieves, I'll talk about all 3 films. I've only made 3. They're short films. You can watch them on my website, www.nitrateCinemas.com.
We'll link that in the description for sure.
Just putting it in if you want to watch them. Among Thieves, that one was a massive short film because it was for the film festival, you could only have a 15-minute film at San Diego State. My film, Among Thieves, was 25 minutes. So it was too long, right? Because it was a big project and it was just the way it was. So it had a bigger budget because it was just a longer narrative. There was more production costs. And I ended up having to cut it anyway. So it was all kind of like at a loss. So I kind of took the biggest L I took for my films was Among Thieves, because I wasn't even the right vision at the end of the day, because I kind of had my arm twisted by San Diego State saying you have to have your film in the film festival because you are a graduating senior and you have a film in the festival because we need to present you and showcase you. But your film is too long and now you need to crop it. You know, you ever have to crop a picture and you're like, nah, bro, I don't want to crop it that much. Cause it's like, nah, you know what I mean?
It's not the whole thing.
It's not how I want to show it. And that took away from the whole black box aspect that I love of my vision, how I want it. But it was an important lesson that I learned because San Diego State was acting as an executive producer, which are a very real thing in Hollywood. An executive producer can just say, no, cut that out. And I didn't know that, and I needed to prepare for that, and that was my learning experience. So I didn't really take that many. The L's that I took in Among Thieves, I took so much more in gains in lessons, if that makes sense. I learned so much from those L's that I took on Among Thieves. I think I was just trying to be so grand because I was trying to do the next big thing, and I was just trying to run as fast as I could. And I took on a really big production. But it was a learning experience, and I learned a lot from it. And then I took it back down on my next film, 80 Proof. I downsized it back to a $2,000 budget because I was like, hey, Pigs was successful because it was just a good story. It wasn't how big it was or how grand it was or how crazy and complex the narrative was. That wasn't what made Pigs special. What made Pigs special was the message and the fact that I had complete agency over the film and how it was produced and the creative aspect of it. That's what made it great. So that's what I wanted to duplicate with 80 Proof, which was the one that preceded, which came after Among Thieves in 2016, which was the last short film that I made. 80 Proof, which I wrote with my friends. I co-wrote with Gabriel Guzman. Cool. And I directed it. And he actually starred in it. So if you watch it, you can actually see the writers in it because we all acted and starred in it. So it was more of a passion project. Yeah. But it reminded me and it rooted me in what film meant to me. And I feel like I don't need Hollywood to make films. I don't need anybody but myself and my wallet. You know what I mean? That's all I need. You know what I mean? I don't need anybody or anything or any studio. I am the studio. You know, like I can think that way now because I went to Los Angeles and I experienced that. So that was the next thing that I learned. Yes. You know what I mean? Going back to your point, like how I'm going and in junctions of my life.
Yeah.
That's what LA taught me.
Well, kind of getting into that, I do want to go into how us reconnecting, because we did reconnect in LA. You moved to LA as well, after post grad, and I was still living in LA already. But just talking about one, just us reconnecting, but two, kind of segueing into doing film and starting to make mental changes and starting to get into things that you're kind of doing more so now. So just talking about that transition.
Okay. So the reason why I transitioned and changed in my head a lot into that thinking of I don't need the studios, I don't need Hollywood, I don't need anybody, was because I hit a really low point in Los Angeles. That city is fast, it's hard, but if you can make it there, you can make it anywhere though.
Yeah.
And that's what I learned. If you learn how to live in that city and how to make it in that city, and if you can make it work, dude, you can do anything, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Same with synonymous with New York. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If you can live in that, move in that, bro, you're on your way.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I took it. But I hit a low point in it. And and I crash landed in LA first off, bro. Like it was just a whole rough experience. Like just moving there was rough, bro. It was just tough. I mean, I won't go into details too much, but it was it was rough moving into Los Angeles. But I remember I remember so vividly. I remember it being the end of the month, bro, and owing super high rent. I paid I think $2,600 in rent at the time. Yeah, bro. I paid $2,600 for like 2-bedroom small apartment, bro. I mean, it was a nice. I lived in Woodland Hills, off Ventura
That's the one
Boulevard.
I would visit you at, right?
Yeah, it was a totally nice gated property. Like I was paying a premium, you know what I mean? But it was still pretty expensive, man. Like for what I got at the end of the day, it was like damn, But yeah, so I remember being at the end of the month and having 37 cents in my bank account, bro. And
When was this?
Like,
what year was this? Was this 2016?
This was coming out in 2017, bro.
2017. Okay.
2017, bro. Well, no, it was in January 2017. So yeah, it was super close.
Early
I remember
2017.
it was early 2017 because I remember that's when I like started keeping detailed journals of everything. Like if I go back to all my like financial statements and everything, they all date back to that 37 cents, bro.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like
we've all been, yes.
Yeah, and I don't care who you are, bro. Like we've all hit it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Unless you're hella privileged or God bless you or you got it that way. But I was broke, like straight up broke, and I was just like, damn. And I was just like, wait, hold up. What do I own? Like that was the first thing that came to my mind. Like, what do I own? And then I found out I'm not broke. I actually own stuff. And I had a whole different shift of mental, like it was a whole mental clarity that I had that I never really had because I saw money as paper, dollars, and I saw it as a number in a bank account. That was money to me. Mm-hmm. And that gets to one of my topics. That's what money was to me, bro. 37 cents was money to me, bro.
Yeah.
What was I sitting on though? Nah, man. I'm sitting on a motorcycle. I'm sitting on a car. I'm sitting on all these things that I have. Like I own all these assets at the time. You know what I mean? I have all these things and that I can liquidate. And that was kind of like the first kind of a shift in my thinking to an investor opposed to an employee, which I had been my whole life. Even though I'd been doing all this filmmaking and all this entrepreneurial stuff in my own film company, in my own film world, I was still a slave to the US dollar because I'm still an employee to it. Yeah. You know what I mean? But I had that thinking. And that's why I was like, I don't really have 37 cents, bro. I got a lot more money than that if I start liquidating stuff. And I had a motorcycle at the time, and I was like, I can sell that quick, easy, bow. And then the next day I had $3,500. I ain't broke no more. Real quick, homie. You know what I mean? You can go back in the little account, on my bookkeeping books, on my accounting book. It goes back down, and I'm like, cash flow, cash in, cash out. You know what I mean? 37 cents. Now that should say 3,500 with 37 cents, homie. You know what I mean? Straight up. And then I paid off rent, everything. But anyways, what was important about that was just the shift in thinking and mentality. And then I was like, I need to learn about money, bro. Like, this is just doesn't make no sense to me. I'm like, why is it that this guy or this woman in this family can have all this and all of us don't? You know what I mean? And this is a big point that I want to make too and talk about, because I had a shift in thinking that now I defend, but I can sympathize with people that think in the way that I used to think,
Which is
but
what?
it's not the right way of thinking, you know? And I sympathize with the people that used to think the way that I used to think, or I mean, that think the way that I used to think, but they can't think that way because they didn't experience what I experienced. So I want to get the message out and spread the word out. But that whole point is just the whole capitalism is evil. Capitalism is bad. Like, nah, bro, capitalism is the savior, bro. The free market is actually what's going to save us. At the end of the day, that's what's going to save us, bro. From everything that's a mess in this country, it's all going to get fixed with free market, bro. Like, that's what I learned. But the way of thinking was rich people are evil, bro. Like, why do they get all the money? Why do they get all, like, you know what I mean? Kill the pigs, you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of how I used to think. And it was wrong and it was warped, but it was because I didn't have money and I didn't know how to bring money into my life. I didn't know how to attract it into it. And I didn't know what money was, bro. And I would think it was dollars, and that's not money. If you think money is dollars, any of your listeners right now, it's not. That's not money, bro. It's an exchange of trades and goods and services, and that's all it is, bro. It's a medium of exchange, and it's currency, and it's printed, and it's fake, and it's just a number in a computer, bro. And you're still a slave to it. I'm a slave to it because we live in the United States, unfortunately. But that doesn't mean that you can't prepare and just buy gold and silver,
Absolutely.
assets, anything to protect yourself, or any other vehicle, investment vehicle to protect yourself and your family financially. And I had to learn that the hard way.
Well,
you know what I mean?
Absolutely. And just to recap, this mental shift happening in the beginning of 2017, I believe we reconnected first at the end of 2016. I remember, I don't know if you remember this, but you came to Culver City where I was living at the time. And I took you to Honey Kettle, the fried chicken place. Really good Southern food.
Yeah. Ooh, that sounds good.
And we, I remember you brought a book, and that was when we first really reconnected. I don't even remember how. I don't know if you recall, but we reconnected around this time that shift is happening. And so, first talking about doing a lot of our own research, we were doing at the time, like post grad, I was doing a lot of reading too. So maybe just kind of filling in the audience and sharing like some of the books. I know you kind of have them set aside, but some of the books that you were reading and that kind of helped you adjust and adapt to this new mental shift.
Yeah. So the way I got into the reading, well, I mean, I've always been a reader, bro. But I was always like Harry Potter, like, you know what I mean? all like the fictional stuff. But then I started thinking like, all right, I really need to know about money. It's a subject that I need to learn. And I was coming out of college and university, and I was like, what did I learn in school? Well, I learned how to navigate in a library. I can always find information in a library, bro. I knew that I had to go to a library. I had to get my ass into a library ASAP. And I knew how to navigate myself in one, and I knew how to find stuff, and I knew how to just find the information from a credible source. That's all I really learned for my degree. You know what I mean? Other than directing and the networking aspect.
Yeah.
I learned that in college. You know what I mean? How to really be good in a library. So I went to Platt Library in the Valley in Los Angeles. It was actually right next to Calabasas, actually. But you know what I mean? Which is like super wealthy and like hidden hills. I would drive by it, you know what I mean? And I would see it and I'd be like, I want to live here, bro. But like, I need to learn how to think so I can live here.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? It's all a way of thinking. I was like, these people ain't no different than me. They all, can I cuss on your thing? Or is it like,
absolutely.
I won't.
Yeah, you can cuss. Just yes.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I was just gonna get passionate, but I calm myself. You know what I mean? I was gonna be like, these people shit and eat and like you know what I mean? Do all this shit, the same shit I do. Yeah. You know, they're no different than me, but you know what is different? They think different. They think different. They move different. That's the only difference. And I was like, I need to learn and get on their level, bro. I knew that because I would drive by it every day and I would see it every day. And I was in it. Like I immersed myself in that world. And I'm coming from Barlow Logan, bro. You know what I mean? From just like Spring Valley, you know what I mean? Euclid. I'm coming off from the hood, bro. You know what I mean? And I'm seeing these mansions, Calabasas, Hidden Hills, all these beautiful places that where all these just millionaires, billionaires live, bro. It's just like the 1% of the 1% on earth. And I'm going to the library down the street from it because I'm trying to like figure it out. You know what I mean? I would just look. I was just hungry. I was just absorbing information like crazy.
Yeah.
But the moment that so I was just reading a bunch of books essentially at Platt Library, anything that I could find, financial literature, anything. But I remember going to a Barnes and Noble in Calabasas. It was like a little. You'll know it if it's there because there's only one Barnes and Noble. And I was in there looking just for books. I was just one day, and I remember this little old lady came up to me, bro. It was crazy. This little old lady came up to me because she saw me like just in the financial books, like just like lost in like the sea of books. And she was like, what book are you looking for? I don't know if she worked there or anything, bro, but she just was like a helpful person. And she just came up. She said, what book are you looking for? I was like, honestly, I'm just trying to find a good book to read. And I did have a book in my hand, actually. I had The Richest Man in Babylon, which is a really good book that everybody should read. Because this is the one that I actually had gone to go look for. I was in the Barnes & Noble in the market for this book, which everyone should read, by George S. Clason.
I just reread that like a month ago. It's a great book.
Yeah. So I had this book in my hand, and I was pretty much just kind of geeking out on the selection at the time. And this little old lady, I wish I had got her name, bro. This little old lady came up, and she was like you looking for financial books? Like, she's like, that's a good one. You got The Richest Man in Babylon. I was like, yeah. And she's like, well, I know where your mind's at. She said, I know where your mind's at. Cause she saw the book in my hand. Yeah. And I don't know if she like knew where my head was at, or I don't know if she was just an older lady and was like, I know I've read that book and in her life experience or whatever. But she's like, I know where your mind's at. She pulled this one out and she was like, you should read this one too. She handed it to me, and it was the same copy right here. It's like all worn and torn because I read it every day. This is a book that you read every day. I read these two every day. I swear to God, like I keep them by my bed, and I just read it every day. This is called The Greatest Salesman in the World by O.G. Mandino. Getting back to my point that everything is sales at the end of the day, bro. You got to just be a salesman at the end of it. At the end, what are you selling, and how are you going to get there? But that's a good book. She handed me this book. If you haven't read it, read it. You have to read it. Like, it's just, I can't recommend it more. So yeah, The Greatest Salesman in the World by O.G. Mandino and The Richest Man in Babylon. So that she gave me that book, and those books I want to say was another big transitional like shift in my thinking. Because I wasn't a slave. I learned to pay myself first. I'll just say that. You know what I mean? If I could summarize it all in one sentence, it's I learned how to sell. I learned that everything is sales, and I learned how to pay myself first. Because everybody always pays everybody else first. Everybody got to pay the cell phone man. Everybody got to pay the
government,
car note, the
taxes.
government. Everybody got to pay taxes. Everybody got to buy food. You got to pay the parking ticket you got. You know what I mean? You got to pay for your baby mamas. Diapers, you know what I mean? All the stuff, bro. But who's paying me though? You know what I mean? And that just goes back to like Catholic school. I mean, you grew up Catholic. I grew up Catholic. You know what I mean? And it was just like the whole, you're a steward. I'm a steward of everything I own. You know what I mean? Everything is passing through me. But how do I catch it? You know what I mean? Can you catch falling water? You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? That's how money was, bro. It was like, I was trying to catch water, bro. Like, you ain't gonna catch water, bro. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's not gonna happen, you know? But I was trying to catch water. These books taught me how to turn that water into money and actually catch it. You know what I mean? And pay myself first. And that was just that whole 10%. It's not even much. If I made $1,000 this week, I'm paying myself $100 because that's 10%.
That 10% rule that we always talk about. Yeah. Minimum.
Yeah.
Minimum.
10%, bro. I got to pay myself. You know what I mean? Because who's going to look out for me at the end of it, bro? Like, I know I love my family, love them to death. I love my friends. I love them to death. Everybody, bro. But at the end of the day, like, it's just me, you know?
And I just wanted
And I
to,
got to take care of myself. You know what I mean? I'm just preparing myself.
no,
That's all it is.
absolutely. I just want to kind of interject a little bit just with that idea of paying yourself that 10%, and me also kind of sharing this with people too, is this is not done overnight. This is, like you had said, this is, and I actually picked this up from you, the accounting and doing every little income, knowing exactly where, because it's the same thing as you're not going to get rich or wealthy without preparing like you want to be. And so just really reiterating Jesus's, what he believes in, but also that this doesn't happen overnight, that this is, you get $100 here, well, $10 is going to get to you. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but you do that times 100 times 10 years in the last 10 years of our life, and you're starting to make some serious money. So just knowing that this is all incremental we're talking about. Jesus, I kind of wanted to also get into a couple things. What is money? And then also just talking about commodities and the kind of commodities that you enjoy having. So just talking
Oh
about
yeah.
those two things.
Well, I mean, money is anything that's tangible and exchangeable. But the most important thing about money is the fact that it can retain value over a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of like the only truth to money, because you don't want something that can be manipulated by a central bank or a government, because that's when stuff starts getting crazy, like what we're seeing, right?
Yeah.
Stimulus checks, Federal Reserve, $600, like $1,200. You know what I mean? All this stuff.
Yeah.
It's just it's not the way the world should be meant to run. It should be an exchange. Money should be in exchange for goods and services. You know what I mean? If I give you a service or a good, I should get something, and I should be able to use that money or whatever I get for goods and services. You know what I mean? That's what money should be. You know what I mean? But it's not, because the Federal Reserve can print it unlimited and freely, which doesn't make it money, because money should be precious.
Yeah.
At its core, money shouldn't be an abundant amount of it. It should be scarce, because that retains the value of it. It's like if you have a rare Yu-Gi-Oh card, you know what I mean? It's not rare anymore if you reprint it.
It's true.
You know what I mean?
It's
it loses
true.
the rarity, because there's a lot more of them out now. You know what I mean? But they're
Yeah.
precious if there's only one. You know what I mean? And that's what makes it rare, and that's what makes it money. And the fact that you can break it up into smaller pieces. You can make an ounce into a tenth of an ounce, into a quarter of an ounce, into a gram of gold. You know what I mean? You can break up gold, and that gets to my point. Gold and silver are the only real version of money, but you can have assets too, like real estate, stocks, just businesses. You can have these are all tangible forms of like equity and liquidation, where you can make money and create money out of nowhere. But money at its core should be something tangible, which I can hold with my hands. You know what I mean?
What's that you say? You call it God's money. Call
It's
it
God's
God's
money,
money.
bro. Yeah,
It was here
bro. It's
before us.
God's
It's gonna
money,
be
bro.
here after us.
Yeah, dude. Straight up. Because it's true. Gold can only be made when a star explodes in outer space. We can actually synthesize, like as humans can synthesize gold, but the amount of energy that you need to synthesize a particle atom of gold, you would black out New York, LA, all the cities combined. Like it's so much energy to just make one atom of gold. And you can only make gold when the star explodes. And all the gold we have on Earth is just because it came on a meteorite one day and it just fell on the Earth. You know what I mean? And it's just rare. It's an element. Silver's the same way, except silver's more abundant, but silver has industrial use. You know what I mean? I think I don't really see gold as an investment, because gold's not an investment. Gold's just gold. It's just money. Silver is an investment, I want to say, because it's money and it has industrial use. So you can invest in it when industry's up, industry's down. Silver's an investment, I want to say. And it's more.
We talked about this because I remember we were shopping one time, and we were talking about how it's in our phones. And I remember telling you, like, when we were at Lululemon, like I was telling you, like, yo, there's silverescent in these socks. And you're like, this is exactly what I'm saying. I was like,
Yeah,
dude.
cop these. Yeah, but it's money though. It's still tangible money though, and that's the thing about it, because it's precious. It's a metal. You know what I mean? It has use. But it's been money for thousands of years. Back to the Babylonians, the ancient Egyptians, everybody, bro. It's been money, in the Constitution, it even says, even in the Constitution, bro, the founding fathers were just coming off the continental dollar at the time, which got inflated because of the American Revolution, which was funny. And they actually wrote in the Constitution, don't print money, don't do paper money. It actually says in the first article, bro, section 10, it says, do not print paper money. Gold and silver should be the only amount that should only be the only money, and it can be minted by the state. And that's the only people that can issue money, not the Federal Reserve, not a central bank, but the state. And it's the only people that can mint money, which should be gold and silver for all transactions. And we actually did pretty good for a long time. We fell back into our habits of it as a nation in the country. I mean, I didn't live it. I feel like I did because I'm living through it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I'm seeing it kind of happen again, another version of it with the Federal Reserve, which is, I think it's the fourth time we've had a central bank as a nation. It doesn't work. You know what I mean? It's the fourth time. It doesn't work, bro. But yeah, so that gets back to my point. Gold and silver shall be the only type of money. You can read it in the Constitution. You don't believe me. Founding fathers said it.
Well, talking about silver and gold, and I think most so we'll focus on silver for right now. But just, with stimulus checks and money being printed, for loans getting out and so on and so forth, just talking about the premium silver now and seeing that value rise exponentially in comparison to the dollar losing value every single year. Talking about that contrast.
Yeah, well, it's just economics, bro. It's basic economy 101, dude. The reason why premiums are skyrocketing and everything is because everyone, first of all, I mean, not everybody, because there's a lot of people that are still, you know what I mean, sleep, you know what I mean, we're trying to wake y'all up, you know what I mean? But the mines are shut down because of COVID, bro. Like, all the mines are shutting down because they can't have people in close proximity, and they're in these small, tiny mines, and they're mining for silver and gold, and they can't have that. So what does that mean? There's no production. So we're not outputting silver. We're not outputting gold right now. So that's just, okay, cool. So it's a scarce supply. So what's out there is out there, right? So if you tell the dealers that, hey, guys, the supply that you got, that's all you got, and you ain't going to get no more. What are they going to say? Well, we're going to raise the price. You know what I mean? And that's just a reflection of what's going on with the mines. That's going to reflection what's going on with COVID. It's all a trickle effect, bro. And I mean, that's why you see spiking premiums. And then you have people really starting to wake up and realize, like, I don't trust the dollar, bro. Like, everybody's getting stimulus checks. Nobody want to go back to work. Everybody tripping. You know what I mean? People tripping, bro. Like, there's people tripping. Like, I know, like, we all trying to keep it together and trying to hold it together for our family and be good. But, yo, we all got to take a moment to, like, be present and be like, yo, this world is kind of chaotic right now. And we need to all take a moment and come together, do a powwow as a world, bro, and be like, yo, stop. You know what I mean? We're better than this. We've come a long way, and we still have a long way to go, but we can get there peacefully. You know what I mean? And that's all a result of what's going on with money, bro. Like, our money supply, bro. It doesn't seem like it is, but it's a big root of it, of what's going on in our country. People are pissed, bro. You can't open your business. You can't, all these rich people getting rich. I can't open my business, man. Fuck capitalism. It's like, nah, bro. It's twisted because people are now leaning more to a socialist kind of view, and they're kind of cool with, like, oh, well, no, I'm down to get government money, bro. Like, it's cool. I'm cool to live with only $1,000 a month, bro. Like, that's cool. Like, I'm cool with that. I can make amends, but that's not a way of thinking, bro. That's not what the American dream is. It's not what this country was meant to be. It should be, this country was made that we're a sovereign people. We are our own people. This past 4th of July, bro, was sad, bro. No fireworks. I mean, there's been fireworks all consistent throughout, like, August and July and everything. Yeah. There was just no, like, July 4th fireworks. And I kind of took it as a morning of 4th of July, bro. Like it's dead, bro. Like, is it dead?
All the civil unrest and there's a lot of things. It's definitely touchy for sure. So,
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I still want to think, and I still want to believe in that American dream, bro. Because that's what my parents came here for, man. Like, that's why they put me. That's why I woke up here. I just woke up here, bro, and I was sold a dream. Yeah. And now I'm like, okay, now I'm trying to cash in on the dream. But you gonna tell me that the country burning down? It's like, nah, it doesn't seem fair. You know what I mean? And I feel like now it's my turn, and I need to do something, and I need to speak up. I have agency now.
Absolutely.
I am free. I want to be free and sovereign, like the forefathers said we were going to be, like the founding fathers said we were. I want to bring back to that. And government is too big now. And I'm not against government. I think that there should be some sort of government and regulatory agency. But the whole point of the Constitution was that government should be small. And we the people are the ones that are going to be the sovereign people, that we're the ones that make our voice is what makes truth and justice and what makes right. We are the ones that decide that and dictate that, not the government. And right now there's so much dependence on the government for stimulus checks, for this and that and everything. And it's just not what the country is meant to be, bro. It's sad to me because I feel like I was sold a dream, and then there was nothing behind the curtain, bro. When I opened the curtain, you know what I mean? It was just like, there's nothing there. But at the end of it, there's still positive though. And I always learned on these books and everything, there's always opportunity when there's a crisis. When there's a crisis, it's opportunity, bro.
It's sad, but it's true. Yeah,
it's true. And I'm just gonna eat it up, bro. Like, I'm just gonna stock up and I'm just gonna get it. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
This is my time. And I'm focused and I can see. I have clarity. I have mental clarity, and I want to just make the world a better place, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's starting, from the mental shift, and you talking about, both of our parents putting us in a better position than they were, like a better hand they were dealt with. Talking about the agency that we can use now and using our voice and our platform. If you can speak on a couple of things I know you want to talk about, education system reform and also the Federal Reserve reform. So if you want to talk about those two things right now.
Yeah, I think it's super important that we don't neglect our youth. I think they're getting sold a bad picture of what a country should be, and they're being influenced by that. I see it in teenagers. I see it in young kids and younger kids. I worked at a school, so I just have I just know more.
You saw that firsthand.
I saw it firsthand. I worked in a school. I won't name which one, but I worked in a school. It was a middle school and it was an elementary school. So I saw it from ages 5 to 14. And then also in high school ranges too. In my personal life, I have a lot of cousins and stuff like that are teenagers in high school and stuff like that. And I can kind of see their whole attitude change once you saw the world school is not essential. What does school really teach you? We don't really want to go to school because there's no point. And there's a lot of that attitude that I see. I mean, there's still really good students that are good students and that go to school and everything, but those kids are also being sold something that's not entirely true. They're kind of just being taught to learn and how to regurgitate ideas and things, but they're not really learning about money. They're not learning about taxes. They're not learning about things that are tangible and relevant in life. I think that's kind of my reform that I want to do, and just kind of teach. I don't want to go get rid of education. I'm a proprietor of education. I am all about it. I just think that we need to teach our kids different things in schools and things that are relevant. And I think that if we did teach our kids that, there would be a lot more interest in school. There would be a lot more kids that would want to go to school. There would be relevance. You know what I mean? And it was just keeping it real, bro. It's just keep it real. All the teachers, keep it real, bro.
But don't you also feel like those important topics for us to kind of level up and, flourish in life, don't you think that those topics are purposely not taught in school so that we are kind of sold and kind of obedient and just run the rat race forever? I mean, that kind of seems to be.
I think so. Because what did all the education in the world get me? It got me 37 cents in my bank account. You feel me? You know what I mean? I had a BA. I had my bachelor's degree. I went to school.
You had a full ride. So
and I had a full ride. And I had all this money. And I got paid. And how did I not get it? Because I didn't know how to think. I was trying to catch water, bro. You know what I mean? I couldn't catch water. You ain't gonna catch water if you can't feed a village if you don't know how to fish, bro. You know what I mean? You gotta learn how to fish. And that gets back to my point. Everything is sales, bro. Everything is what do you own? What do you got?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Do you own a company? Do you own a method? Do you own a product? What do you sell? Do you sell your talent? You could be a very talented actor, a dancer, a musician. You know what I mean? It could be anything, man. But that's what we need to learn in school. We need to learn how to sell. Did you have a sales class in school? Nah, I didn't have one. You know what I mean? I learned the Pythagorean theorem. I learned y equals mx plus b. How do I still remember that?
Yeah.
I don't know, because I looked at it so much. But
Yeah.
you know what I know? I know y equals mx plus b, bro. I know that. Did y mx plus b, you know, like, no, it didn't. Financial education taught me that. You know what I mean?
But you had to
That
seek
that's
that though. That's the thing, is that you had to seek that
Yeah. I
knowledge, and
wanted
that's what we're
answers,
trying to put
bro.
people
I
on.
wanted answers, and my journey took me to those answers. You know what I mean? And now that I had the light flashed in my face, now my eyes are flashing light everywhere, bro. You know what I mean? And I want to flash that light on everybody, bro. And I want to let them know. I want to put them on that world exists.
Yeah.
And it's not, and capitalism is not evil. That's one of the things I want to like get across to like everybody, bro. When you make a company, you're offering goods and services to a mass amount of people. You're Amazon. There's a lot of hate on Jeff Bezos right now. On Jeff, like, I love Jeff Bezos, bro. I don't care what you say about the guy. You know what I mean? Shout out Amazon, shout out Kindle, all that, bro. Prime, y'all talking. I don't know what I'm gonna say. Y'all talking shit. My bad for cussing. Y'all talking shit about Jeff Bezos, but y'all logging on to Prime and watching your show after work.
It's
hypocrite.
True. Yeah.
Straight up. Y'all getting that 2-day shipping, but y'all hate Jeff Bezos. Hypocrite. You know what I mean? Like, don't use the product and service and bash the guy. Don't bash on Nike and wear the shoes. Yeah. Don't talk shit about Adidas and Kanye West and all that shit, but then get the Yeezys and rock them. You know what I mean? Like, don't do that.
There's a lot of those. Yeah.
There's a lot of that. You know what I mean? But the thing about capitalism is that offering a good and service, there's no gun to your head that says buy from me. That's actually where you guys want to go. In socialism, with the state's going to be like, this is what you get, and this is what you get, and we'll shoot you if you don't take it. Like, that's what you're going to get. Capitalism, at least you have the freedom of the free market to be like, I like Nike. Nah, I like Adidas. Nah, I like Etched. Nah, I like Lulu. Mm-hmm. Those are all goods and services provided by an entrepreneur that took risk and took a lot of money and took a lot of thinking and effort to get a service and a good to you at a cheap, affordable price.
True.
And you can go anywhere and anything. And you're hating on those people. Those are the bad people. And you're mad because they're making all this money. Well, they're making all this money because you're consuming it. You're eating it up. All y'all. You know what I mean? That's why they're rich. They keep getting richer, Tony. They keep getting richer, Jesus. They keep getting richer. Well, it's because y'all are eating it up. And it's because they're offering a good product. They're offering a good service. And you should be rewarded for offering that. Yeah, I'm going to take a little bit off the top, man. Of course, man. If it was you, wouldn't you do it? You going to work for free? Nah, bro. Get back to the 10%. You know what I mean? The rich people be doing the same thing. That's why they're rich. That's why they stay rich. Yeah. Poor people are mad just because they don't know how to think rich. You know what I mean? But they're mad. They're taking it out on the rich people, and now they're accepting a socialist, fascist, communist way of thinking. I know it's not that extreme yet, and it hasn't gotten to that point, but it could get to that point. We're playing with fire, bro. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're selling a dream that could ignite a fucking fire, bro. Like a big fire. You know what I mean? And it's not a good one. You look at North Korea, bro. You want that? People want that? That's what a state government run looks like. That's when the government is a state-controlled, nationalized, every company. This is what it is. Look at North Korea, bro. I don't want that. I want the free market. I want to be able to rock my Nikes, bro. You know what I mean? I want to wear the shirt. You know what I mean? Yeah. I want to have the watch. You know, like, these are all goods and services, bro, and they're not the bad people. But we're definitely playing with fire with our youth, bro. And there's a lot of people my age that still think the old way, bro. You know what I mean? And we need to shed light on them, bro. It's important. Because there's no time to be playing games and this election's important, bro. That's going to come up. It is.
And we'll get into that in a second, but just kind of touching up as well, if you can also talk about your thoughts and opinions on the Federal Reserve reform and just, like, you know, what you would want to see or ideally.
I mean, if you want to say, I want to still have the US dollar, bro. Like I grew up with it. You know what I mean? It's like a love and hate thing with it, because I hate it now, but I still love it, bro. Because who doesn't love $100 in their pocket? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you ain't mad at a hundo. You know what I mean?
A
But
Benji.
now that I know what it is, I don't really want to hold on to them, bro. I don't want to hang on to cash, because I don't want to be left holding the bag, bro, that don't really got nothing in it. I want to be left holding the bag that got something tangible and heavy and gold or silver. I want to be holding that bag, not a bag full of paper money that's going to be worthless one day. But today, I'm still confident that I can go and spend some money. You know what I mean? Like, we haven't gotten to that point. You know what I mean? But I don't want to get to that point. You know what I mean?
You're preparing. You've been preparing.
I've been preparing, and I'm gonna come up. If this dollar crashes, I'm gonna come up big. But it's what I'm saying is I don't want to come up big like that.
Yeah.
It's scary, bro. Like, my whole family, everybody's savings, everybody's like, everything is in the US dollar, bro. We've all put all our trust and confidence in our money and our government's money, bro. And it's a scam, bro. It's a scam, but it's a real scam. You know what I mean? Like, it's still, like, you still pay your taxes with it. You know what I mean? Like, it's still, that's the only thing that really kind of keeps the US dollar relevant in the world, is the fact that Americans have to pay tax.
Have to. Keyword, have to. Yeah.
Have to. Oh, yeah, you have to pay your taxes, bro, or else you go to jail. You know what I mean? Lock you up. We put you in a box, bro.
Yeah.
So we're all technically slaves to this dollar, if you kind of think about it, and we don't really have another choice. But you do have another choice, really. You have gold and silver, tangible assets, you have real estate, you have anything. If you really start thinking that way, like, I don't need to hold my money in dollar form. I can save it.
Can you shed a little light on that? We talked about many times before, but creating our own bank, because, you know, if you're going to bet on someone or something, it's going to be yourself and what you've been researching in and what you believe in, and talking about operating with your own bank and specifically with the commodities that you do.
Well, I mean, you have to understand that. You have to understand a macro way of thinking. Most people are caught up. Most people live life like this, bro. They live life like this, bro. They go to work, they do this, they go to work, they go to dinner, they follow the same routine, bro, every day. But people don't really stop and put the blinders on and see the big macro picture. Like, you really gotta, like, see the big picture. And to your point of making your own bank, it's just, look at it like this. Look at 10 years of your life and just look at it. Look at all the productivity that you can do in 10 years. Like, if you really look at it and say, I get up at 8 or I get up at 4 a.m. every morning, I work out, I'm the most productive from 6 a.m. to 10 o'clock at night. You know what I mean? All that productivity, how much money can I make off that productivity in 10 years? You know what I mean? Like, can you put a dollar amount on that? Like, if you probably really, really plan out, you can probably get pretty close. You know what I mean? Like, if you say, like, I'm going to pay myself 10%, every dollar I make, I average about $1,000 a week, or I average about $2,000 a week, and I will make 10% of that, and I will save it in a tangible vehicle, investment vehicle, gold, silver, whatever you want to call it, whatever you use, and an IRA and a Roth IRA, you know what I mean? Whatever money or however you pay yourself, because you remember it's just 10%. I'm just taking from those 10 years productivity. I'm just going to take 10% of every dollar that I make. If I make $1, I'm paying myself 10 cents. I don't care. I'm still doing it, and I'm keeping that accounting. And I save that at the end of that 10-year mark. If all goes well, what am I going to be sitting on? I'm going to be sitting on a hoard of gold, silver, asset. I'm going to be sitting on a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be sitting on something. My ass is going to be sitting on something, bro. Yeah. It's going to be real. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to be like, damn, you know what I mean? Theoretically, hypothetically, will that happen? Yes, it will. If you're consistent and if you're disciplined enough to do it every time, pay yourself. You know what I mean? If you pay yourself in dollar form, you're going to have a lot of cash, right? But what's that cash going to be worth in 10 years? You know what I mean? It might not be worth anything. It might not be worth shit. If tomorrow the government says, hey, we devalued the dollar in half, sorry. What does that mean? It means that $100 only buys you $50 worth of goods?
People would be crazy. We would go crazy.
if you had $5 million in your bank, or no, let's just say you had $100,000 in your bank account. You now have $50,000 in your bank account. You know what I mean? We just gonna call it different. You know what I mean? We just gonna call it something else. But if you have silver and gold saved up, that's still just silver and gold. And you have how many ounces over 10 years? How many ounces? And that goes back to your point of I am the bank now. Now I'm the bank, right? Because I own a tangible asset. And I can take this tangible asset and I could get a loan with it.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I want, right, I'm going to use credit. Credit's still going to be there. Credit's still going to be cheap because the economy still needs money to flow. It's called velocity. You still need the velocity of money money going from my wallet to your wallet, from your wallet to the gas guy's wallet, to the gas machine attendant's wallet, to the person that's going to go to dinner's wallet. That's velocity. Your money's traveling through people. We need that. We need that. That's why if we go to this cashless society shit, we're in trouble, bro, because that's very North Korea-ish.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we can't do that because it's no longer money at that point. Now we're just being controlled by it. But yeah. So go ahead. Back to my point.
Well,
to your point.
Well, just kind of going on just, what we're seeing now and if it isn't obvious enough with stimulus checks being printed and unemployment being provided and small business loans being out there.
Yeah, so you can
other than the being woke and being mentally open to taking the blinders off. How would you tell people to prepare? How would you tell people to prepare? And neither of us are financial advisors, right? Neither of us are financial advisors, but we're just saying our research.
Just educate yourself, man, because it's like say if I tell someone, it's just this, bro. Like if you give $1 million to a poor person, they're gonna get rid of it. If you give $1 million to a rich person, they're gonna make it into $10 million. You know what I mean? It's just the way of thinking. You know what I mean? If I show you 10 ounces of gold and 500 ounces of silver, to someone, that isn't anything. That doesn't mean shit to the average Joe. If I'm like, yo, this is 500 ounces of silver and 10 ounces of gold, they won't know what to do with it. They'll probably just sell it and get a bunch of cash and then spend it. And now, bam, I'm poor again, right? But if I give it to a person that's been consistent and mentally trained and educating themselves on how to make more money, how to catch water and turn it into money, you know what I mean? If I'm talking to that guy, well, that guy might take the 10 ounces of gold and say, well, I can get $100,000. I can get $100,000 loan with this because this is $100,000 worth of gold. So I can go to the bank and say, I want to leverage $100,000 worth of gold. Like, this is what I'll give you, and you can hold this gold for me. But I want you, the bank, to give me $10 million. And I'm going to put this gold as a down payment, right?
Yeah.
You can do that. You can do that move.
Yep.
Right? Now you have $10 million, right? And now with that $10 million, you go and buy a hotel with it. You know what I mean? And then with that, and then you're running now you have a business. You know what I mean? Now you get your property manager and everything. But essentially that business is going to pay itself off. You know what I mean? And then you're going to pay your loan off. You know what I mean? And you're still going to have your gold. You know what I mean? You're still going to have it because you're just using it as leverage.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you control that because you can even say like, let's say you don't want to give up your gold to the bank. You're just going to say, I'm going to just leverage this gold. How can I leverage this 1 ounce of gold? Okay, I'm going to just take it to the pawn shop and I'm going to get $2,000 for it. You know what I mean? Now with this $2,000, I'm going to, you know what I mean? I'm going to get a loan for $25,000 and I'm going to put this $2,000 as a down payment on that $25,000 loan, right? Now I own a note for something, whatever it is, for X, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But
I'm making moves with this money, with this tangible money. Like it's just all the things you can do with it as money. And that's what is money, you know what I mean? And that's what it is, you know what I mean? It's just people don't know how to utilize it as a tool to make more money. It's like flipping shoes.
Yeah.
Shoes are money, bro. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you can just wear them. You know what I mean?
It's funny how this concept was introduced to you and I at such a young age, and I know you did it, and I know I was really doing it because my
Yeah.
parents, my family wasn't going to give me money to spend on Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh cards, but we were learning these concepts as kids, trading to Comic Odyssey and to
Yeah.
our local card shops, and learning the idea of trading goods and
Yeah.
investing and like what holds value and what loses value. Oh, they're reprinting it. Oh, secret rare.
Yeah.
Now they got the gold rare. Like no one wants that.
Scarcity, bro. Scarcity. Yeah, exactly. No, it's totally relevant, man.
So
And
crazy.
exactly. No, and it's like when you're in school, man, and you say like, I'll trade my Go-Gurt for your Sprite. You know what I mean? Like that's money, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Goods and services being exchanged, bro. It's the like barter system. You know what I mean? Before we had money, we
Mhm.
had the barter system.
Yeah.
I'll trade you a guitar for that table. Okay, cool. You know what I mean? Barter, but that's like an exchange of goods and service. That's what money should be, not a credit card or I mean a debit card that's just filled up by the state or whatever. Credit is. I want to say that another thing. Credit is more real than actual money. I want to say credit. Like if you use credit the way it's meant to be used, it's actually realer than money.
Mm.
If that makes any sense, because I can use credit to buy a building, to buy a house, to buy something real,
Yeah.
and then I can just pay it off. The asset could just pay itself off.
Using debt
Someone else's
as to
money.
using that debt and creating that cash flow and having that's good debt. That's not consumer debt.
That's
That's not a
that's good debt.
liability.
And
Absolutely.
I'm good because I have a gold standard, right? So I'm taking on debt, but I'm not taking on too much debt that I can't handle and that I can't burn out, and then I can't put the fire out. I can't put out this credit. I mean, this debt, this credit fire out in my life. I
Yeah.
can put out that credit fire because I'm sitting on what a tangible asset like gold and
Mhm.
silver, like a house or a bike, a motorcycle, a chair, a freaking iPhone. I can sell this. You know what I mean? I'm
Mhm.
sitting on something. You know what I mean? Like I can put out that credit fire because most people take on too much credit and then they can't pay it off and then they're screwed. You know what I mean? Now that it just starts compounding and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and then they're like, oh my god, like I'm in so much debt. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And then they
We've all
start
been
going the
there. We've
Dave
all been
Ram.
there. We've all
We've all
been
been
there.
there. We've all
Yeah.
been there, yeah. And then we start thinking like, oh, debt's evil or credit's evil. You know what I mean? But it's not. You know what I mean? It's just a tool financially to get us to the next level of what we need to do. We just need to learn how to pay it off. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And just it's just being disciplined on your paying off your debt. How do you pay off your debt? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But most people pay off their debt and they get nothing at the end of the day. So that's something that I learned in this book, in The Richest Man in Babylon, the
Mhm.
camel trader. Read the chapter called The Camel
Yep.
Trader of Babylon. You know what I mean? And there they talk about the whole idea of how you extinguish debt in your life with and get something at the end of the day from it. So
Mhm.
the whole concept of was if you have $10,000 worth of debt and you just pay off all that debt, what do you have at the end of the day? You're back at zero, right?
Yeah.
You don't have your debt no more, right? But you paid off 10 grand in debt, but now you have zero now. Now you got
Yeah.
nothing. And it's
Yeah.
like, I got nothing. I got no money now.
Yeah.
But the camel trader of Babylon, what that taught me was for every dollar of debt that I pay off, half of that I'm gonna reserve it in silver and gold. Back to another like stacking principle that
Yep.
I always stick to, right? If I
Yeah.
pay off $1,000 worth of debt, what's half of 1,000?
Buying 500 in silver and gold.
Yeah, baby, let's get it. Right? So that means if I'm gonna pay off
Absolutely.
$1,000 of debt, that means that I need to have how much money in reality? I need to have $1,500,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, to pay
That's
off
the
that
only
debt.
rule.
Yep.
That's the only rule, bro. Just half of what it is and just have that saved up. And then but at the end of the day, my debt's gonna be paid off. But what am I gonna be sitting on?
You're gonna be sitting on that silver and gold, that commodity.
Ah, we got some money, bro. We got some money for paying off debt. You know what I mean? You're on a
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah.
And that's just it, bro. It's just thinking differently. It's knowing how to think. It's knowing what's real and what's not. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean?
I did also want to, I know something else you want to talk about too. A couple of things, if you want to hit these both at the same time, is talking about, just explain to the people fiat currency as well as the gold standard.
Okay, yeah. So in 1913, the U.S. government created under Woodrow Wilson called the Federal Reserve Act. And they implemented it saying that there will be one central government that issues out money. And this was due to the banking panic of the bank run of 1908, all that crazy stuff that happened. And so what was going on in the country 100 years ago was that every state and every other thing was issuing different types of currencies, the different types of monies. Every state had a different kind of money, Arizona dollars, California dollars. And it was causing problems because if you go from California to Arizona and you try to buy some gas or some soda, well, that's 10 Arizona dollars, but it's how many in California dollars? Like you see the issue of that it was causing, right? So they were like, well, we need to fix this. We need to make it just one central bank. And that one central bank, you know what I mean? There's a really good book called The Creature from Jekyll Island that everyone should read.
Okay.
That one teaches you the history of the Federal Reserve and who actually kind of masterminded it, and you find out it's the 1% of the 1% of the 1% in the United States, like the Rockefellers and like the, you know what I mean, all like the really rich people, like all the really rich families, you know what I mean, that all own. I mean, no one knows who owns the Federal Reserve. That's the thing that's shady too. Like no one knows who owns it. But at the end of the day, it's a company. No one knows who the shareholders are. I mean, you can kind of assume and kind of make like a assumption of which families might own it. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, we need to all recognize that we sold out as a country to this Federal Reserve. And that's what the Federal Reserve is. It's a private owned corporation that their product that they sell, like if this tea company sells this tea as a product, they sell dollars. That's their product. It's US dollars. You know what I mean? The way they get out those US dollars and the way they exclusively blind it with the US is through the IRS income tax, which was which also came out in 1913, the same year that the Federal Reserve, like, okay, they both came out the same year. What? Yeah. Both these acts came out the same year. Like, why? Yeah. Well, because you need the IRS to have the US dollar. Because what do you need to pay your taxes in? US dollar. You can't have one without the other. You can't have the IRS without the Federal Reserve. You can't have the Federal Reserve without the IRS. And the US Treasury, what the US Treasury does is they make government bonds or they make treasuries, which essentially is just a promise to pay you back tomorrow. If you give me $100 today, here's a United States note, a Treasury note that says the United States will pay you back tomorrow with interest this many dollars for letting us borrow your money. That's what a US Treasury note is, and that's what the Treasury does. But what they do is they make all these big packages and they sell these treasuries to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve doesn't have a bank account. Remember, they're just a printing press. They have a product. Remember, they create dollars, right? Sales. Out of nothing, right? Yeah. He's right, exactly. So they sell, so the US Treasury, the Treasury of the United States makes a product called a Treasury note, 10-year, 5-year bond, 3-year bond, Treasury notes, and they sell that product to the Federal Reserve. So what does the Federal Reserve get? They get a bunch of U.S. Treasury notes, right? Yeah. And what does the Federal Reserve send off to the treasuries? A bunch of U.S. what? U.S. dollars, right? And that's how you get U.S. dollars into circulation off the printing press. So now the U.S. dollars go to the U.S. Treasury. The U.S. Treasury sends those dollars off to the banks, and the banks distribute the money throughout the country. Now we have a bunch of money. Yeah. That's kind of how that money comes into existence, and that's kind of how we create that money out of nothing. Yeah. We pretty much sell that. We pretty much say taxpayers are always going to pay their taxes tomorrow, next year. The U.S. people are going to pay their taxes, so you can trust that we will sell you this, and this is dependable, and you can trust this currency. That's pretty much what the Federal Reserve is, and why we need the IRS. But imagine a world where we get rid of that. Imagine a world where you can actually own every dollar that you work for. Before 1913, every American kept every dollar they made. Yep, they weren't not seeing a huge chunk of their check that they never saw because of taxes. Yeah. No, I get taxed 30% on every dollar where I work. You know what I mean? I get taxed 30%. You know what I mean? It's crazy, and it's like whoa. And I'm still in that. The reason why I still have a job and I still have it's because I have that. I want to lay the pavement. I want to do the dirt to lay the pavement. You know what I mean? I want to just get dirty. And I have all this energy. I have all this, my legs work, my hands work. I'm blessed that I'm like alive, and I'm gonna get to work, bro. Like, I'm gonna hustle. I'm gonna make as much as I can right now while I got it, because at the end of the day, you have to remember, gold and silver is money, and gold and silver is stored energy, bro. All that work you put in is stored energy, bro. When you carry a bag of silver or a bag of gold, it's fucking heavy, bro. It's heavy as shit because it's your work, bro.
Yep.
It takes a lot of effort to dig out. To go into a mine. First of all, you have to find a mountain or a hill or whatever and be like, I'm gonna dig a big ass hole in here because I'm gonna find a gold. You know what I mean? That's how you have to do it. You have to find the gold, extract the gold, refine the gold, melt it down, send it off to the mint.
A lot of work.
You have to bash it, and melt it and bash it into a coin and sell it, and then, you know what I mean? All that to get to you.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. The Federal Reserve can just print. You ever print something? How fast do you print something? You can print something. You know what I mean? It comes out quick. You know what I mean? That's fake. You don't need, there's no effort required to print dollars or to put it into a machine, into a computer code. I can just type it up real quick and you're now a millionaire. Nah, bro. Gold and silver is not like that. It requires effort.
Yep.
So when you hold a bag of it, you're actually holding your effort and all that energy. Look at it like that. You have stored energy. Back to the macro picture. I have 10 years of stored energy.
Yeah.
And you know what I mean? That's real money. That's what it is. That's what's going to make you wealthy. You know what I mean? Rich isn't, I'd rather be wealthy than rich. You know what I mean? Because being rich just means I have a lot of something. If I'm rich in Exodia cards, it just means I have a lot of Exodia cards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if I'm wealthy, it means how much can you give? Right? If I'm wealthy in Exodia cards, I can give everybody out some Exodia cards because I'm wealthy in them. You know what I mean? It's different because when you're rich, you can be broke. You know what I mean? But when you're wealthy, you stay wealthy. You know what I mean? Because you're always, you give so much, but by giving so much more comes to you.
Yeah.
I mean?
I remember, I think it was Chris Rock. He had a really good, now that you say that, he had a really good joke in one of his stand-ups that I watched. And he said, you want to know the difference between rich and wealth? Shaq is rich. He was like, the white man that writes his check, that's wealthy. I thought that was like the perfect analogy to be like, well, if you don't understand what Jesus just said, think about what I just said and what Chris Rock had in his special. I think Jesus too, just, it's really a mental shift that this is all kind of coming down to and kind of the foundation of this. And I think for you, you were fortunate to even maybe have that influence at a younger age than obviously where we're at now. But I know a big influence on you is your father. And just shedding a little light and talking about, you know, you kind of said in the beginning, talking about how your father, you know, was just like, why do I have to pay a premium on this when I can do it other ways? And just talking about how your father lived. And, you know, obviously if you want to get into you know, his story and just how that affected you and to continue in the life that you're living right now.
Yeah. No, so my dad was a great dude. Like straight up, shout out Pops, dude. But the only thing he left me was actually his gold chain, bro. You know what I mean? That's like the only thing that he actually left me. And it's funny because it's an asset. And it's the only thing that I really kind of consider money. And he left it. That's the only thing he left me was a golden chain, bro. And that's another thing about gold and silver. You know what I mean? It's real money anywhere in the world. You can take it as jewelry anywhere and use it as money. You know what I mean? I could start a new life tomorrow in Argentina if I sell this chain. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, think about it that way.
Yeah.
But that's how he always thought. He was he knew what was real and what was fake. You know what I mean? Same with my grandmother. My first silver coin was given to me as an 8-year-old kid. And it was just the way that they thought, you know what I mean? Because they kind of trusted more they didn't trust banks. My family never trusted a bank. My dad hated banks. My grandmother hated banks. They used them, but they didn't trust them. Yeah. You know what I mean? I remember when I was 8, I turned 8, my grandma she said, here's $100 and here's a silver ounce. Which one do you want? And I was like, I want the $100. You know what I mean? Like, already like, give me that shit. But she's like, no. I'm going to teach you a lesson. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like, she was like, no, you want to keep this one. You know what I mean? And she kind of taught me that and put me on at 8. You know what I mean?
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she did. I still have the silver ounces. I said Libertad. It's a 2002 Mexico Libertad. Yeah. it's actually worth a lot more now. It's pretty cool. But yeah,
I'm
back to the
sure.
lesson she taught me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like she was trying to show me what was real and what was fake. And then my dad was the same way. You know what I mean? He used to work. He never really had a boss. He was a very entrepreneurial guy. He woke up every morning and just kind of saw a new day and said, how am I going to go out and get it? You know what I mean? He didn't have a job, bro. My dad did not have a job. And he put us through high school, middle school, college, everything, bro. And the way he did it, yeah, no, he was cool, man. He came here with nothing, bro. Like, came here completely illegally, hopped over, like, the traditional, like, image you have of, like, someone hopping the border, bro. Like,
Yeah.
that's my family, bro. Like, that's how they got here. But what he did was he just worked. He worked first he started at a cardboard company. It was called San Diego Die Cutting. And it was by Point Loma next to the sports arena. And all he would do was just cut cardboard, bro. Like, he had like a freaking one of those, like, what are they called? The line jobs, like a factory worker.
Conveyor belt type things.
Yeah, like he was a factory worker, you know, like one of those like big, like what do they call it? The distribution of labor, like jobs where they just kind of like all have just one motion, they just do one thing. All his job was to cut like this one piece of cardboard in half, bro. He had like this cutter thing, and he would just cut cardboard all day, and that's all he did. And he did that for I don't know how many years, until it was 1997. I think he worked at this company, at this like factory, San Diego Die Cutting. And then he ended up breaking his back. I remember he had an accident there, and he broke his back, and he got a settlement check for a lot of money at the time. You know what I mean? He got, like, at the time it was, I don't know how much money it was, but it was like probably close to like $100,000 settlement or something. It was crazy because it was like on property. The company asked him to do something that they shouldn't have asked him to do, and he did it. So the company was liable for what happened to my dad, and he broke his back, and then they paid him out a lot of money. But remember, my dad, one of the things he bought was this gold chain with that money. And it was this gold that he bought because he was like, I need to save some of this money. And I remember he bought a lot of gold at the time. And from there, he became more of an entrepreneur because he had a lot of money that he was sitting on. So he was like, okay, now I need to use this money to make more money. So he bought a truck. And what he did was he bought an F-150, and it was like this just a regular truck, you know what I mean? And what he ended up doing was he would go to all the auction houses in San Diego. He'd go to Father Joe's Villages. He would go to the Consignment Classics. You know what I mean? He would go to all the spots and be like, I want to buy all the really cheap stuff that you guys can't sell. And I want to get it cheap. Like, I want to buy it like super cheap. All the stuff that you guys have been sitting on and stuff like that, I want to just get it all cheap. And he made these relationships with all these houses, all these auction houses. Yeah. And he made this connection, and he would buy all the stuff really cheap, and he would fix it up. So he would take it in his truck, and he would just go. And it was funny because what he would do was he would post up with his truck outside of these places. He would help people deliver the stuff that they would like buy, because people would, like, families would go and buy like furniture, and then he would be like, hey, like, you need help moving that? I have a truck like right outside, and I can help take that with you. Like, you know what I mean? He was just hustling, bro. Yeah. He would just post up outside and see like families selling. Oh, hey, you need a truck? I got a truck. $20, bro. I got a truck. Hey, let's get it. $20. Get that truck. I'll take it to your house. Bam, $20. And then he would take that $20 and say, what didn't you sell today that I can buy for you for $20? You know what I mean? That's what my dad would do. And then he would buy. And he would buy the furniture using the money that he just got from taking this people's like to the furniture to their house. He was just a hustler, bro. He just made money out of nothing. You know what I mean? He would move it, and then he would buy all this furniture. And then what he would do when he would go home at the end of the day, because he would go home around noon. He would do that in the morning, and then he'd go home around noon. He would have lunch. He was a very ritualistic dude, bro. Like, he just had his ritual and his day planned. He did everything like. Every day he followed the same routine. He would walk the dog after his lunch. And then he would go to his little workshop in the backyard, and he would fix up all the furniture, bro. He would repaint it. He would redo the interior, the couches. He would fix because he was a carpenter. So he could he knew how to work. He knew how to work. He knew his way around tools and furniture and all that stuff. And he would make it look so much nicer than what it was.
Yeah.
So he would take all this beat down ugly furniture that he got for $20, and then he would fix it up, take it back to the other auction house, you know what I mean, the next day, and be like, I'm gonna sell you this for $200. And they'd be like, cool, bam. And he would make $200 off this furniture that he got for $20. And from those $20, he got it from delivering a thing. Like, he was just a hustler, bro. And then now he had $200. And then he would take that $200 and buy more furniture. And he would deliver other people's stuff. Like, he just
reinvesting
made money.
it back into that hustle. Absolutely.
And that's what he did, man, his whole life, bro. Like, bless my dad. I always asked him, like, if you could have any car you want, like Ferrari, Lambo, Bugatti, what do you want? And he was always like, I already got my truck. I got my F-150, man. I don't need anything else. Like, he was just that mentality, bro. Like, he didn't need anything grand or anything spectacle. Like, in his mind, like, his truck was his truck. Like, that's my Ferrari, bro. And it's just that humble thinking, bro, that you can really make a lot out of nothing. You know what I mean? He made a lot out of nothing, bro. He literally took shit and made it into something. And he helped people out, you know what I mean? And they would give him money, and he would elevate their experience, you know what I mean? Like, I help get that to your house, bro. I'll make your life a little bit easier today. That was my dad, you know what I mean? He would just come up to you and be like, hey, man, like, how can I help you today? Like, I have a truck, you know what I mean? And then that was him, dude. And then that was just that. I have that same mentality. Like, I feel like I learned that from him. I don't need a boss. He would always say, how I can't have a boss, because how would it look like if I was in a room with my boss and you were in the same room with me, and I had to be his bitch or respond to him and be below him? In your eyes, what example does that leave to you? What kind of example am I putting to you? That it's okay for another man to be above your dad, which is and that was just the way he thought. Like, he had like this, just like, that's not how I want you to see me. I should be your superhero. Like, I should be, in your eyes, I should be like model citizen. And that's kind of how he was. I mean, he had his demons and he had his stuff that kind of, his flaws, you know, that flawed him. You know what I mean? That's kind of what led to his demise. Rest in peace, Pops. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, he wanted to be perceived as like, I can provide for you, and I don't need to be under someone to provide for you. You know what I mean? And I learned that from Pops. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that was another thing of that. Like, I always have him with me. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's always money. He gave me money, gave me real money.
Give you value. Know what I mean?
Most people see, oh, it's just a gold chain. Oh, it's just a silver chain. Like, he's just boasting. He's just being like, oh, you know, he's trying to show off. I see 50 grams of silver, which is worth $40 in the U.S. market. You know what I mean? That's just what it's worth. Is if you were to just melt it into silver scrap. And then what else do I see? I see 1.5 ounces of gold around my neck. You know what I mean? What's that worth in the market?
3 Gs?
About 3 Gs of gold. That's what I see. And what I see is that I can go to anywhere in the world, and I know that this gold sells in China, like it sells in Mexico, like it sells in Canada, like it sells in Brazil.
It's that universal currency right there. That universal money.
Yeah, universal. I can start a new life wherever the fuck I want. I don't need from anybody. Like, my dad, I don't need from no one, bro. I don't need from a job. I work at a job because I want more. I want to optimize. I got the macro picture. How can I maximize productivity in the next 10 years? Well, I'm going to do my side hustle, but I'm also going to grind my ass off at a job because I can get it right now. You know what I mean? Because I know I can get it. You know what I mean? Because I got strength in my legs and my hands are working.
We're still youthful. We're still blessed with health. Absolutely. I think, Jesus, there's just been so much that you've, you know, enlightened me, and we always talk about these things, but even to our audience right now. But I kind of just, all the knowledge that you've gained over these years through the experiences and the people that you've come across, I want to know, and it's not limited to just one thing, but what would you tell your 13-year-old self, knowing everything that you know now? What would you tell your 13-year-old self moving forward? Or even, you know, audience members that may be younger and like we had said, being influenced in the school system and things being a little different, like what would you tell to that someone younger, that 13-year-old version of yourself, what would you say?
I would say pay yourself first. I would say know the source of what you're getting your information from. And I would say don't be influenced by outside forces. That's probably what I would tell myself. Don't let anything influence you that's not aligned with your mission in life and what your goal is. Because then that's how you if you understand that, you cut 99% of the shit out of your life, bro. Like that, bam. It's like none of it matters, bro. I know my purpose and what I need to do. You know what I mean? You get focused so quick once you start thinking that way. And I wish I would have told myself that in 13, because I would feel like I bullshitted around a lot. But I needed to learn that. I needed the experience and I needed to live life. You know what I mean? But I feel like I probably wouldn't have listened to myself anyway if I would have told myself that. You know what I mean? It wouldn't have made no difference. Because I'm sure I'm sure 10 years from now, I am going to be thinking and reminiscing about what I could wish I could tell myself right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I probably right now, I probably wouldn't listen to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
10 years from now, I can already kind of see my 10-year version of me 10 years later being like, get out of California, bro. Leave the United States, man. Like I can see like it's not going to be good. But right now, I want to stay here, man. I love California. I love the United States. I want to think that our country's going to heal, bro. Like for the better. And I'm optimistic for the future. You know what I mean? But 10 years from now, I can see myself telling myself this today. And what I'm telling myself 10 years from now in the past, I feel like I would have been like blowing myself off anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'd have been like metal and Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's all I care about. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because I was a little kid, man. But yeah, definitely. Don't let yourself be influenced. Pay yourself first. And whatever the other one was that I said.
I mean, I think just to kind of sum that up is, you're providing a lot of valuable knowledge, and I think one thing I can speak on is you're only going to invest in what you believe in, whether it's the things that you invest your time or your money into, like those are the things you believe in. So hopefully, this, well of knowledge can, benefit some of you that are listening, but Jesus, I just want to say thank you so much for giving us your time today and just shedding your knowledge and sharing, a lot of valuable things that you've done a lot of your own independent research on. So I just want to say thank you for coming onto the podcast, and hopefully at some point we'll have you again and touch base. And you kind of helped me before Of Like Minds was a podcast.
Yeah.
We kind of did one, maybe, I think, it had to have been a year and a half or two. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Yeah, so I always knew I wanted to do this, and so it's cool to finally officially have you on the platform I've created. So just thank you so much for your time, man, and we'll stay on. But just want to say thank you, and we'll get back with you soon, right, man?
Sounds good, man. Can't wait.
All right, appreciate you, brother. Love you.
All righty, guys. Later.